Hi everybody, it's Pippa from Business Without Bullshit, and this week we've been talking to Alison Coward, Alison is here, about why meetings are bullshit and how we can sort them out. Alison.
You've written a book apparently.
I have. Workshop Culture, A Guide to Building Teams at 5, is all about how to use the principles and practices of workshops to make our meetings better and generally our cultures better.
There's just slightly too many meetings going on.
So many meetings, too many meetings, and they don't work. They are unproductive, they're too long, people feel drained by them, but we need to have them.
They're bullshit.
They're bullshit, basically, yeah.
So check it out and maybe you can run your company better. Hello and welcome to Business Without Bullshit. I am Andy Uri and alongside me is the wonderful Pippa Sturd.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, Pippa. And today we are joined by a former guest, episode number 5, did we say?
Yeah.
Gosh, Alison, excellent work from the very early days of BWB. Alison Coward. Alison is the founder of Bracket, a consultancy that partners with companies to help them build high-performance team cultures with clients including Google, Meta, and the V&A. Alison is a team culture coach, workshop facilitator, keynote speaker, and an author. You are an author.
I'm an author.
She's written 2 books. Her latest book, very good. There it is, Workshop Culture. Beautiful book, lovely cover.
Thank you.
A pocket guide to effective workshops with 20 years experience. Workshop Culture, a guide to building teams that thrive. Your previous book was a pocket guide to effective workshops.
That's it, yeah.
Do you think you got another book in here?
Oh, I think, I published this one 8 years after my first one, so maybe in 8 years' time.
8 years, one every 8 years.
And I'm thinking, so the first one was a pocket guide to effective workshops. This one is Workshop Culture, a guide to building teams at 5. The third one, Workshop Your Life.
Nice.
Workshop Your Life. Okay,
and there's a decent gestation period there. Like 8 years gives you enough time to do something really good.
I'm not sure about the word gestation and book. It doesn't feel right, does it? Well,
it feels right to me.
Okay, excellent.
Don't know what you're on.
So, Alison, let's get down to it. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely brilliant to have you back. And so what's on Alison's mind? What's keeping Alison up at night?
Oh, I think I'm going to get quite existential with this one. Okay. So, of course, like you have as a business owner, you have the usual business things like growth and things like that. But I think one of the things that that's on my mind a lot, which is related to my business and it isn't, is the rate at which technology is developing, but the fact that we are not evolving as quickly as that technology. So the thing that I do is around kind of communication skills, collaboration, empathy, self-awareness, and we're not developed enough in that area yet. We're getting there, but technology is developing so quickly that I feel that there's a gap that's growing. I actually say in the book, that all the collaboration tools that we have that are designed to help us work better together, we still, as humans, haven't caught up with the skills that we need to collaborate effectively. So there's loads of things, there's great tools out there that, messaging systems, online platforms, all these kinds of things. But yet, people collaborate, not tools. And I feel that sometimes we generally, us humans, use the tools in replace of the skills that we need to develop. And it's kind of...
It's quite profound what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it scares me a little bit because I think, of course we've got AI, that's really, really speeding up. And we haven't quite grasped, it's exciting, it's fascinating, and there's lots of opportunities there, but still we haven't quite figured out the impact of it, like what's going to happen in 10, 20, 30 years' time. And I think that's going faster than we can actually keep up with.
Well, we haven't worked out how to collaborate with each other properly.
I was going to say, we haven't really worked out the messaging systems we've got. Like,
exactly.
There are people who's you get an email from them and it's very, very different to like talking to them on the phone, for example. Like people don't have the skills to make themselves sound collaborative.
Absolutely. Asking questions, really dealing with differences, arguing effectively we haven't sorted that out yet.
And now we've got to learn how to collaborate with AI,
Right.
which seems to be all we're focused on at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, or it's working out how to collaborate and manipulate us. So, I mean, if you were going to do, if you said something interesting there about learning how to argue. That's an interesting skill. How do you argue? Argument is healthy, I guess.
It depends on what the argument is about, right? And I think that's one of the things. We don't know how to disagree with each other respectfully. And I'm talking, that's a generalization, because of course there are some people that can do that. But, you know, we just have to look at kind of what happens online and, you know, how people react to things that they don't like. And generally, even what's happening on a global scale, we don't know how to sit down and have conversations with each other.
I mean, it happens all the time as well, because I work with a lot of startups and growth companies, and it happened, like I was talking about this yesterday. I went to Cambridge for a talk, but I was talking about exactly that one of the reasons that so many early stage businesses fail is people don't know how to have a kind of argument with their co-founder and get over it. Absolutely. Like so many of them, they argue and that's the end of it, because they hate each other so much by the time they've finished the debate that they can't work together anymore. There must be a way to be able to kind of
grow up.
Yeah, grow up and talk about, you know, differing points of view. I mean, we do it all the time, and I think
I think
perfectly fine.
I think yeah.
You know, but there must be a way to do that without ending up hating the person.
Yeah, I think it's getting better. Like, I do feel that generations, what's the word?
Evolve.
As the generations evolve, the next generation is probably more emotionally intelligent than the previous generation. I think it's happening slowly. I've been reflecting on some of the talking points for today, and there's a course that I used to teach on for young people, and it was about, they used to have to collaborate in teams on a project, and one of the things that I used to kick off with them was like, what's good and bad collaborate? What does good collaboration look like? What does bad collaboration look like? And, you know, the first year I did it, it was very basic things like, respect each other's ideas and, all the usual stuff, brainstorm effectively, communicate, be nice, those kinds of things. As the years went on...
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Needle stickers.
Yeah, and then as the years went on...
Not what it is, but
close enough.
As the years went on, it got a lot more sophisticated, like keep your boundaries and be self-aware. And I was like, I've got a lot of hope in the future generation.
So as you've asked the same questions over your career, you're hearing more complex answers come through.
Exactly. So I think it's getting there, but not at the speed at which technology is developing for us to kind of match that pace.
So your first statement, I'm still thinking about the rate at which technology is developing. We're not developing as fast. So technology is running along, and we're kind of being left behind it. Are you thinking particularly of AI there, or are you thinking of just...
I think generally, yeah. I mean, we're clever, aren't we? Humans are clever.
So
we're very good at like developing technology, but I think what sometimes is missing is that thoughtfulness around the impact of what that technology is going to have. Like, we can create something to do something for us. We can create, a robot to do our laundry, and we can create an online platform to gather data. But we don't really think through the consequences of that.
I think there's a lot of fear there as well. I think, like, as a race, human beings kind of find things they're not used to scary.
Yeah.
I just think about my mother, who will not use a mobile phone because she says, I can't work out how to do it. It's like, you could, if you thought about it for 2.5 fucking seconds, you could easily, but you won't, because it's a scary thing that you don't know how to use. And I feel like that about kind of certain kind of tech. And
that's true.
I suppose I am old.
It's hard to add things to your habits.
Yeah.
And I mean, I turn off all my notifications. Great advice from my brother. That's really helped me. But then in a weird way, it means it's very hard to adopt anything new because nothing's nudging me to look at it. So there's I was thinking the other day, why the Slack? Because I was never managed, and certain people put me on Slack. And I was like, because I don't have my notifications on, and I'll never think of going there. But probably there's an interval there for, it's almost you want to set up this thing to help adopt it. It'd be like, okay, I'm going to send you notifications for a month until you're in the habit of looking looking there. But then you get the next stage, which is like, I fucking hate the way I go in these apps. And I'm like, oh, blah. You know, you think, can't there just be a master app, like a master inbox that's going to collate the stuff, get rid of all of the crap that's not really addressed to me, all the CCing, and, you know, surely the AI could just go through my phone and say,
it will.
Here's the stuff that actually is written to you by people I can tell from your replies you actually like.
Yeah, and that's
Would
the
you
stuff
be
that I'm
confident
excited
that
about.
it could do that for you?
It must be able to. It's not complicated. It easily could work out. If you tell it, okay, here's an example, 3 or 4 people I'm not that keen on, the replies would be very flat, wouldn't they? Is something wrong, do you?
No, he was just saying Gmail does that for you already.
Yeah, Gmail probably does it
does,
within
actually,
in the
because
mailbox.
it does. You have 2 separate mailboxes, one for things you're supposed to care about and one for
Oh,
things
wow.
you don't.
I can't wait for it because I spend so much of my day doing that and then missing stuff too.
I am definitely excited about the prospect of AI for efficiency and kind of helping us do the things that we don't necessarily want to do or need to do. And then there's a whole area around how is it going to impact? I mean, it's the usual conversation. I'm not saying anything new here, but how is it going to impact creativity, like true creativity?
Well, the music industry is shitting itself. I mean,
Right.
my friend Pierre, you may even remember, but he learns money from library music on the side. You know, it's one of his main incomes. He said to me, I only saw him the other week. He said, "It's fucking going. Don't worry about it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's going to be
From
France." He's called
I didn't want to guess.
Uganda.
Also, I mean, I do think that there's a kind of a hype around it at the moment. So I think there's this kind of massive curve where everyone is doing everything with AI that they possibly can. And then it's going to start tailing off because I think we're going to see the difference between the quality of, you know, real experts. And I mean, we can already start to see it, can't we, really, in some writing, in AI pictures that have got 6, you know, people have got 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not
really?
quite-
Or 3 arms.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
not quite-
Is that happening?
It's not quite there yet. I mean, there is some really great stuff out there. But I was talking about it the other day and I said, you know, ChatGPT, for example, can quite feasibly create a really great workshop outline, which is, you know, I do that
But
a lot.
there will be a couple of crazy bits in it, right?
There may be a couple of crazy bits, but it can, you know, it can create a good workshop outline. At the same time, the workshop outline is just, you know, that the design of a workshop does take a good chunk of time. So let me finish. That will take a lot of time out of the preparation. But then you've got the facilitation on the day, which is a very human endeavour. Yeah. And so who's going to do that? You still need somebody that is able to.
It's the same. It's the same with law because you know people are really worried about AI coming in and being able to do things like due diligence on a transaction. I don't want to do due diligence anyway. Right. I mean, it may take away some of the more junior jobs because you don't need somebody sitting there looking through contracts when a computer can do it in half an hour.
No, I was going to agree strongly. I mean, I was going to give you the compliment, but yeah, the right word's facilitation. I mean, what's an outline? I mean, your ability would be to walk into the room and read everyone's, you know, attitude and whatever, and that's the useful bit.
Yeah.
I don't know when AI does that, but I was thinking, honestly, on Zoom, you know, they can replicate you so perfectly now. Yeah. Surely that's close that I can say to it, right, come to 50 meetings. Now you take those meetings and you let me know, you know, I don't know how do you check it then that it didn't advise the client?
You'd have to kind of sneak
you must set up in Singapore, you know, whatever.
Sneak onto a few of the meetings. But it's like me and shareholders agreements for founders. Like every time I do it now, it always takes an hour and a half to the dot.
Yes.
And I say the same things and I tell the same stories and I like somebody else could just do this.
I know.
We could just record me and they always ask the same question. Yeah.
But then imagine what happens. I was like, okay, it's taken me all these meetings and let's say it does a very good copy. So therefore, you know, half the work, oh God, that sounds like I'm bigging myself up, but you're winning the work then, you know, it's working.
There was a thing on, I saw a thing online, I think it was yesterday evening, with somebody on like Dragon's Den or whatever, with a product that was, so this is a guy on Dragon's Den, with a product that had like a kind of like simulacrum of you.
Simulacrum's
like an image to go to Zoom meetings when you couldn't be asked.
And it just sits there
and it
moves.
says things kind of a couple of things at the right time.
What is it? Physical? Is it a physical thing?
No, it's like a Zoom, like an avatar on Zoom, but it's you.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't
That's
look
what I'm
like an
talking
avatar.
about.
Yeah.
You just want, so like all those kind of internal meetings that maybe you don't want to go to, you just send
In
it
big
along
companies.
and you stay in bed.
Well, I was just thinking, okay, say it did all my new client sales pitch meetings. Say you came up with some meetings. That meeting it could do, and then it would feed half of them become clients because we've got knowledge here we've built up over decades. That means that people go, oh, these people really know what they're talking about because.
But then the clients will be like,
yeah, and I don't know the client.
But I want the fake Andy. I don't want the real Andy.
I know it's like COVID on steroids because I can't remember any of my meetings from COVID because I was sitting in the same place and half the memory. Well, remember this, you know, you sit somewhere new and but I was like, can you imagine that you'd have people you hadn't met and you don't know anything about them, but you've had a meeting with them and now you've agreed to do stuff. So you're like, well, let the AI carry on delivering the services, you know.
And I'm terrible with names as it is.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
All right, with it,
Just
can you do
look at
faces
people.
though? I always remember face.
No, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. It's quite embarrassing. Yeah. I can just walk past people on the street and they'll be like, "That's Alison. We've like met 5 times." I'm like, "I'm so sorry."
I feel
It's
your
when
pain.
you can't place people as well. It's awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I meet a lot of people. I do a lot of workshops, and there was a time when I was speaking at a lot of conferences. That's like it could be 100 people in the crowd. But anyway, I feel that I've kind of taken the conversation into an AI thing, which I didn't mean to.
Let's go where you want to go.
Really, it was, just kind of saying that I feel we've still got a lot to do, work to do as humans to develop skills in how we interact with each other.
And actually, we've got to get better at it because of all the changes else that's going on. We better be getting better at collaborating. What do you think? What do you think our biggest weaknesses are?
Biggest weaknesses as humans.
Yeah. In collaboration.
Oh, in collaboration. So I think, at a higher level, I think that as humans, and I think this is, nature of the world, we have got busier, right? We've got more to do. So we want results quicker. And that means that we sometimes want to avoid the thinking that we need to do in order to make sure that perhaps a project is set up. So, one of the bits of advice that I often give to teams is, if you're kicking off a new project, just take that time to, at the start of the project, to sit down, think about your strategy, think about your direction, set your guiding principles as a team. But often the urgency to get things done, that feels like it's a bit of a luxury. We can't really spend the time doing that because we've got to get things done. Well, actually, if you did spend the time doing that, then it would pay off later. So I think that's what definitely one thing. All the stuff that I've mentioned to you, I think that we avoid conflict. We don't really want to have difficult conversations. And I think, again, the world is getting so much more complex. We're not really able to avoid it. We've got so many differences. The workplace is, again, slowly getting, I guess we could argue for and against, slowly getting a little bit better in appreciating diversity. But then we need to be able to have the conversations that do allow people's diversity to shine. And that's going to bring disagreements, because if we are creating a space for people to talk, bring up their own individual differences and thoughts, then there's going to be conflict.
I like the point about rushing. Everyone's, we have these hour-long meetings that sometimes we don't need an hour for some of these discussions, but it means there's always this sort of, right, well, we'll get to where we got to and that's where we get to and then we get on with it. There's a sort of sense of rush and I think maybe that's some of the stuff that you can help with or people need help with in terms of sort of taking a moment, but also how to break down problems into their component parts and think about them a little bit
more deeply. Yeah, I guess maybe this is kind of a very personal thing, but I think the anxiety, low-level anxiety that I'm feeling is that I feel the world needs to slow down a little bit. And I know that's not going to happen. But I know that it would benefit so many of us.
It might happen. And I hate to bring up about AI, but because of AI, we may have more time to think a bit more carefully. If we can get rid of this fucking noise, these examples I'm giving about meetings and stuff, there's so much of my day. It's like I'm going through my inbox, clicking CC'd. like emails all the time, but I need to be CC because sometimes I need to find them. Sometimes I need to know what's going on, or whatever. You know, I said to we've got a CTO now. I said someone can do my invoicing. You know, if a computer watched me do my invoicing 5 times, I don't have to do it anymore. Yeah. And I have to take a Saturday. This Saturday, I have to take off. Basically, you take all that noise out. Maybe we have a chance to think again.
But I think the problem is that part of the problem is that as technology gets better and better and grows and grows and grows, people just expect more from you because they think it's easier. They think you can do it quicker, and they just pile more stuff on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a really stupid example, but when I was a trainee like 20 whatever years ago, you know, you'd get an email and you'd reply to it by the end of the week or whatever. Or in certain departments, a lot of things were letters. So, you know, you'd get the letter in and then you would work out the reply, and that would take a couple of days, and then you would type it up and then you would put it in an envelope and send it to somebody, and it's going to take a week.
And they didn't even know if you'd got it either.
Yeah. So, you know, now if I don't answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night to a client, they get annoyed.
And the emails are expected back straight away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed to take the time. You've got you potentially got all this freer time because you know, AI is taking the pressure off, but you're not allowed to actually use it because you just want to answer them.
There would definitely be an aspect of that. But I think there's definitely sort of proof in this that if we could get a bit more time back in our lives, there's plenty to do. You know, anyone worrying there's not enough to do. There's masses to do. You could just get a chance to think. I mean, what I was having this today, actually. I don't know if you get this, Pippa, or you, Alison. So overloaded with the work that what happens is I suddenly I haven't got a list in front of me, and my pad with my list from yesterday's at home, and I'm just blank. I just sit at my desk for like 10 minutes going, I don't know what I'm doing. I could look at my inbox and just let it take over again. But I'm like, I know I've got some massively urgent
I think it's
stuff.
A bit, I can end up like a rabbit in the headlights. Like you've got so much stuff to do that you can't quite work out in your brain which bits to do first. And you kind of look at it all and think this is just completely overwhelming.
Oh, I've developed my system for that. So that's one thing that I do, like, have a handle on. I've got a very good system that I use. Every week I plan out my week, plan out the tasks. I have somewhere I capture all my tasks. Every week I sit down, it's like, okay, what do I need to do this week? And then I literally, before the week starts, write my to-do list for every single day.
Oh, wow.
That would be lovely.
I know you're very organised, though.
That would be lovely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It doesn't always work out like that, but at least I've got a sense of, okay, well, I know that I need to get that to that.
You pick up Tuesdays and you're like, bugger, am I doing that today?
Exactly, yeah. Or past Alison told me that I need to do this on Tuesday, so I better do it.
Is that what you say to yourself?
It's part of the reason I do it is that I make the decision of what I need to do before the time that I need to do it. So it reduces for me the decision fatigue. Because if I had to get up every day and figure out what I need to do, that would exhaust me before I'd even got started. So I just kind of try and lump it all into one planning session. It's like, okay, on Sunday you decided, on Wednesday you need to do this, this and this. And it's all kind of laid out. I know what deadlines and things like that I've got. So
yeah, it doesn't, unfortunately, that would be lovely. It doesn't really work like that because you get, you know, with lawyers, a lot of your time is firefighting. You get questions in, or you get documents back that you weren't expecting, or you're waiting for documents and they don't turn up. And so you do something else. But I reckon the only way to kind of deal with it is just wade in and knock off the things. I mean, I was putting off something. If the client that knows what I was doing this afternoon is listening, I'm really sorry. But I was putting off something because I felt like it was going to be a really big job. And I did it this afternoon. It took me 20 minutes.
Always the way. How do you prioritise that? I think this is another thing, you know, as teams, this is why teams are so busy, because we're just busy doing stuff and we haven't really found a way to identify whether the stuff that we're doing is the most important stuff to do. And again, it's these conversations, like sit down as a team and talk about like what's critical for you as a team to deliver to the quality that you want to deliver to. And when you go through your to-do list, all the possible things that you can do, only say yes to the things that are going to be critical to you achieving your goals as a team. And it's that upfront thinking, you know. If
Good
you can
questions. Hard to answer those questions. You know, what are the critical things to do? I mean, who knows half the time, isn't it?
The law.
Yeah.
It's all about.
One of the things we did, Andy, you know, one of the projects we've done together is identifying your company values, right? And so that something like that can be a decision-making filter for you. You can take your values, and it could be whether it's like the clients that you select or you decide to work with, or the type of work or the way that you decide to grow the business. You can say, right, I've got this idea. Let's take a look at our values. Does it fit in to what we decided we want to do together? And if it doesn't, then that's just a way of, you know, it's brutal, but it's a way of starting to filter out the things that might not be as relevant for you right now.
I have a question, which is, we're suddenly like 158 people or something, with 47 people to hire this year, and
wow,
it's not enough.
You've passed Dunbar, 150.
That's exactly what I've been worrying about for about 5 years, and you're feeling it. You're feeling this, like, and so then I've been like, okay, well, how do we avoid just becoming a corporate? Because you just start to hire all this middle management, people become a number, and it's not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got any good suggestions with how you know, I was thinking about teams, because I met this guy who was saying, well, you know, in the military, it's all 8 to 12 men teams, and that'll be men and women nowadays. But, you know, that's the most efficient team. And in software development, you know, 8 people produces the most amount of software. And as you double the people, you get less output. So I wonder whether, you know, my theory, but I don't know quite how to do it, which might be an interesting project to work together on, is okay, how do you split this thing up into cells that function? I mean, and people have sort of done all this stuff before, and this is going to sound terribly arrogant, but you know, to some extent, this place is what it is. It's a weird little partnership. We kind of got to work it out ourselves. Do you know what I mean? If we try too much to just apply what people have mostly done at corporates, I'm not.
And I think for you as well, I think what's important for you is that you want to create that balance between sort of the emergent, like you're very sort of agile as a company. And you're quite informal as well in the way that you operate, and you don't want to engineer things too much.
Exactly.
At the same
what a
time,
good word.
at the same time, you know, it seems like you've got to the point where you do need to, even if it's kind of looking back on what's worked so far to get you to here, and I mean, I don't know if this is the right word, but kind of codifying it, actually turning that into a process, or not a process, but
well, almost it's a value thing. I mean, the one process, you know, I look after the marketing, but I don't think of it so much like this because we've done a lot of it. But most of it to me was my dad is the business and the brand, and his values is why. I mean, I remember working in a place where most people, a hell of a lot of people would say to me, I'm here because of your dad, you know, like as in like you know, it was a 50-person firm and it was in Slough, whatever. And so it was turning him into marketing or sort of brand values, isn't it? But it's a bit like that now. The next stage down is kind of like, how do you codify or something, somehow come up with a way to keep it all small.
You need to define what it is that makes you special, like what has got you from there to here. And
Pippa's laughing. Pippa's not convinced.
Had some suggestions. Carry on.
About what makes me special.
But get clear on that, and then figure out, based on where you want to go in the future, is that going to work for you? What elements do you want to keep? What elements do you want to develop? I mean, you are at a phase now where, you know, what you've done up until now, as you're growing, there's going to be many elements that aren't going to work.
Yeah.
I know, don't say that. I'm scared about that. You should come and help us with this. We should have a serious chat about that, just to even help us try and think about it.
I think law and accountancy are different in that regard anyway, because whatever size, you know, and the law firm is much smaller than the accounting firm, but whatever size law firm you have, it always breaks, you know, even if you have like a team of 20 people, each transaction or thing that you work on is going to break down to a team of 3 or 4. You know, even if like one person in that team is working on that.
The law ends up very small groups.
And that it doesn't matter if you have the biggest magic circle law firm, when you do a deal with them, you'll meet 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And interestingly, in
always
the
the way.
business, we're actually lots of little teams, really.
Yeah.
Insolvency's little team, financial service. And a lot of them actually, when we were talking about sales and sort of 8 to 12 people, so every time you get more in a team, you have to split it in 2. So they can grow up to 12, but then once it's bigger, you got to chop them
But the
up.
magic is presumably making people, even if they're in like little 8 people teams or whatever, making people in an organization feel important.
Yeah.
Because you can otherwise think, oh, nobody cares about our little
Well,
team.
or for me, that's so close to the nail on the head. The thing that I think causes politics is that if people don't notice when you do a good job and you know, you're not just sort of recognized naturally in a kind way, then you start having to play politics. You either just can't cope with it or you play politics, and that creates the politics. Getting up the greasy pole, as they say in corporate life. That's the thing I'm most scared of, because every time someone joins here from a corporate, and then they start just like saying one thing to one of us and another to another, sort of bullshitting people. Yeah. And you're small enough that you say, "Oh, I was talking to Adam," and he said what? He said the opposite to me.
But when
what's that all about?
When I left my last firm, one of the other partners said to me, "Oh, you've got a really nice little practice, haven't you?" Like, as in a book of work. I'd been there for 14 fucking years, and he'd never noticed until we had the conversation about what I was taking with me when I exited.
Yeah.
Like,
people want to be valued.
Yeah.
People want to be valued, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And noticed and recognized.
Have you noticed when you do workshops with teams that there's a sort of particular number that's better than others, you know, in terms of the amount of people in the room? You're like 2, or you're like 8, or you're like 23.
Or 153.
No, do you notice though?
I mean,
do you have to split them up?
Do you know what? I don't ever think about it like that, because, you know, it is what it is for me. If I'm working with a team of 5 or a team of 20, it's situational. I mean, you know, one thing in the workshop is that it's very difficult to have a productive conversation as, say, 20 people. So you would break that up into smaller groups to have. What it is that there's going to be some people in a workshop that are going to be comfortable in that situation, speaking up and speaking out loud. And there's going to be a lot of people that aren't. And in order to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak in a way that's comfortable for them, you do at some point have to break it down into smaller groups. They don't have to speak up in front of the group, but they have had their say.
And I noticed,
that's a really good point, because there are, you know, particularly more junior members of, you know, 100%. If you think of something like we have a meeting every Tuesday morning. People do speak up on it, but it does tend to be the partners more than anybody else.
Same people. It's annoying from both perspectives, interestingly.
100%.
The people who are talking think, oh, well, they love the sound of that. Actually, they're desperate for the other people to talk more.
But you've got to fill in the
you've got to be as confident.
Particularly if you're the sort of person that's got to fill in the
gap,
space.
the empty space.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
you and me both come from families like no one's
Yeah.
saying anything. Say something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a look at that meeting. And talk to, you know, see what do you want to get out of it? What do you want people to contribute, and how can you structure that? Because again, that format, I don't know how many people are in that meeting, but that format is not conducive for people to speak up.
I mean, to be fair, when I joined this firm, I was really surprised about the level of engagement on that meeting, because at my last firm, we used to do kind of firm-wide things and no one would speak ever. Right. So I thought, this is actually really great. Lots of people are participating. But you're right, it's not everyone.
Well, you're talking, that's an interesting meeting to take as an example. You're talking about a meeting of the equity partners and the salary partners of OCS, isn't it? All the partners of the solicitors is the Tuesday morning. Or you're meaning Pipeline?
I was meaning Pipeline.
Oh, Pipeline. Yeah, I'm getting the wrong. It's after that meeting's afterwards or something. Oh yeah, Pipeline's fascinating. But people are pretty good at. I'm amazed.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know
people
what changed it? One of the things, you might have a good idea. We were like, let's just rotate the hosts. Like, why am I having to do it all the time? And then we just created a structure that anyone could follow, and Joe hands to them.
Perfect.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So everyone starts relaxing. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the book you've written. What are these ideas you've come up with, or is this what the aim of this book is to help people do what? Tell us about it.
So as you know, I've facilitated a lot of workshops, and when I facilitated workshops,
Can you explain what that even means? Just like take a moment, I think. We're facilitating a workshop.
Yeah. So imagine that your team needs to get together to talk about what you're going to work on together for the next year. What are going to be your priorities? What's going to be your
big meeting, big strategic meeting.
A big strategic meeting. But if you put all of those people together in a room without any structure, you may not get the outcomes that you want from that meeting because there's no guide, there's, you just put everyone together. And social psychology says that when you put people together in a group, there's all these kinds of things that will happen. Social loafing.
Social loafing. Sign me up.
Social
I'm
loafing.
in. I love the sound of that. I'm just socially loafing at the moment.
Where people just kind of sit back and let others do the work. There's the whole introvert, extrovert thing. Some people are happy to speak up. There's a group think. Where, if a senior person says something, then junior people...
Do not disagree.
Oh,
right?
I hate that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like my least favourite thing.
So there's all these kinds of things that will happen when you put groups together and there's no kind of structure around it. So companies will hire someone like me. There's lots of facilitators out there, but they'll hire someone like me to say, okay, Alison, we need to get our 10 people together to talk about our strategy or our culture for the culture that we want to create in our company or in our team. Can you design us a structure and can you come in and make sure that we keep to that structure? These are things that we want to achieve. We need to make sure that you come in and help us guide the conversation so that we can get there.
So these would be events these are not that common meetings. This is like once a year or once every 6 months. They'll have a big powwow.
Yeah, so that's my point. So the typical kind of off-site strategy day, away day. Yeah, exactly. That's when people might bring in a facilitator. Workshop culture is saying those discussions are brilliant. You get so much done. Everyone contributes. They're creative. You're thinking big. You're coming up with great ideas. It's energizing. Why does it stop at the end of the workshop? When you go back to work the next day, sometimes you forget everything that you discussed. Nothing happens. I found that, I even talk about this in the book, but when you have a room where you hire a room, everyone goes to the workshop. We've done it before, but people will dress in a different way. They'll be more relaxed. They're kind of sketching. They're up there. It's not like a typical meeting. But what you get out of that is you do get that, the progress. You get all of those great ideas. You get people working together in a really cohesive way. And so for me as a facilitator, I was going in and doing those days and getting to the end of the workshop feeling that there was a really great energy in the room, but also feeling really disappointed because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen next with this
and
team.
I know you're all going to go away and you won't make any
It is a real problem,
though.
Those big powwows. You don't have time for them that regularly. So what's the solution?
So workshop culture is basically, so the strap line...
I've walked right into it.
The strap line is, what if every day at work felt like your team's most productive away day? I'll say that again. What if every day at work felt like your team's most productive away day? So it's not that we don't need those days where we do get together and have a focused discussion, but you're actually bringing more of that into your day-to-day because we need it. We do need to generate ideas.
When would you bring it into your day-to-day?
So it could be in your regular meetings. So you might bring in facilitation techniques into some of the meetings that you have. You might structure them differently. You might do sort of little breakouts. You might do activities that are kind of creative thinking exercises. At the same time, the more you do that, the more you're opening up the communication in your team. And it's having an impact on how people are relating to each other. So imagine a meeting where nobody spoke or, only a few people spoke. You change that meeting, the structure of it, so that all 10 people are feeling that they're able to share ideas, their contribution they were listened to, they learnt from each other. That's not only going to have an impact on how they felt about that meeting, but they may learn things that then leads to another conversation with other members on that team. Or they, spark up some kind of collaboration together. So the more that you kind of use your meetings as a way of bringing your team together and I guess working in the way that you want to work, the more that's going to spill out into your culture. Meetings are broken. There's so much. I see so many people moaning about how many meetings they're in. They're back-to-back meetings.
It's awful.
Did I need to be in that meeting? I was at that meeting. I didn't even speak up. We didn't get anything done. We're going round and round in circles. If organisations were just to solve that problem, they would have a massive impact on their culture. There's research that shows that someone's engagement at work can be affected by how they feel about meetings that they've attended. So imagine back-to-back meetings, all rubbish, that's your experience of work.
Well, I have back-to-back meetings. They're not all rubbish.
Were they all rubbish?
No, they're all, to be honest, 90% of it is like, I want less meetings, but I have to, as in like, I don't know what to do. I look at the diary. My curse is like, the diary's just full, like back-to-back every day.
And yours are client meetings though, aren't they, mostly?
Client meetings, internal management meetings. I mean, I have about, it's as many as 20 or 30 people who report directly to me. You know, you can't just leave them in. You know, when I ignore them because you go on holiday or whatever, I mean, you got to sit down with like the VAT team or the whatever team it is you're running, and you know, there's just two of them. They don't know what the fuck's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got to like make a plan together. You know, and it's, you get to know them. Like, anyway, no, I mean, I'm playing my tiny violin, but no, like at the moment I can't. But I think actually forget about it. But meetings is a curse in my life. It's interesting you talk about like a lot of people must be
enjoy them.
Well, they're needed. They're not a waste of time. That's yours, and so many must be a waste of time. Right. So this can plague you in multiple ways. I think, to be honest, my situation or our situation even is just this. We've passed this DUNS number, and there's certainly ones of us that are just feeling it. Like, you know, my sister who does the HR. I mean, she's the ultimate. Every time we add 10 people, that's 10% more work. She has to know all of them. Anyway, but let's focus more. I thought that what you were representing there was brilliant, you know, but okay. So let's do like a classic sort of busy London company. You know, how is this a thing? You know, they have, say, a meeting every day when they all gather together. They should maybe bring in a bit of sort of facilitation techniques, like maybe it's not all verbal, the meeting, for a moment or something. Do some writing or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Allow other people to contribute. And then plan the structure of this meeting. So
I had a client that used to start every meeting with like a couple of minutes meditation.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I used to use it to go to sleep every time. Yeah,
it's an interesting thing to start a meeting and say, right, you know, first 2 minutes, I want you to write down what it is you're here to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I would, if I was working with that company, I'd first want to really understand what the purpose of that meeting is. Like, what is it that you need to talk about? Why do you need to meet every day? And I'm not questioning, it's not a judgmental thing. It's just like, tell me what you want to get out of this meeting. And then let's create a structure that make sure that you hit that every single time. So yeah, if it is, we just want to do an update, well, I mean, I have questions about whether like update meetings are really
serve
valuable.
Any purpose.
Like, but if you want to do an update, yeah, maybe for the first minute, everyone's kind of, you know, brain dumping. These are the things that I want to bring today and talk to you about. And then you're kind of having some kind of conversation.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I love, I've been doing a lot with teams recently, is this idea of peer coaching in meetings. So, you know, everyone's got things that they're working on and might be facing some kind of challenge or problem or a question they can't answer, bringing that to the meeting and having like a little brainstorming session with their colleagues so that they can, you know, get some ideas. And yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, we really need to think about this shit.
Yeah,
I genuinely mean I need I do need your help trying to talk about it, even maybe it's just my own little world, but yeah,
you know, as soon as
it's harder than you think to work out.
As soon as I start relating that stuff to professional firms, it's just so many professional firms are so, you know,
driven by clients.
Well, not just driven by clients, but driven by fucking egos. Like
that's
my last firm,
problem.
Like we'd have a weekly meeting and it was basically just get them out, put them on the table, we'll measure them. Because
you don't
it was
feel
just
that
like,
here though,
no,
do you?
I don't. But like lots, I think with professional firms in particular, because it's all about the individuals and the personality to get the work and all that kind of thing. You get these big beasts that are just trying to one up each other.
Well, they're badly run, most law firms and accounting firms. Well,
so one of the challenges of this is that it is a completely different type of leadership. Yeah. It really is, you know, not the me kind of leadership. And
it's
I think
very practical, isn't it?
What I'm talking about.
No, it's the leadership. It's very sort of like Lego, like scaffolding. Like, let's play some Lego together.
Your role as a leader is to create the environment for your team to thrive. And that means, I mean, facilitation is a part of that, but that does mean there needs to be less ego. And there's a lot of leaders out there, unfortunately, that have been trained or have leaders that they've kind of role modeled from, where it is about them as individuals.
You kind of end up, whether you like it or not, having to be like, when no one's talking, right, okay, I'm going to run this thing, I'm going to lead this thing. But actually, I must be a load of people that are thinking, great, if you could mean that I don't have to talk that bollocks, right? You know, it's great, I'm in. You know, actually, the one thing's just started to happen to me. I'm finally in meetings being a bit better at waiting for other, especially internal meetings, waiting for other people to speak before just doing my thing. And I'm so far away from it, but I know it's the biggest technique like I need to develop. And I can see my dad can do it now, and I'm not sure he could always do it, you know, but that is so important, like, because basically that's leadership, because the moment you don't talk until everyone else talks, and then you get to digest and say your thing. Anyway.
Oh my God, I went to a meeting like that though a while ago, and I thought, I'm just not going to say anything. It was a client meeting, but it was with somebody else, and I thought, you know, like, they know the client better. I'm just going to not say anything. It felt like about 12 years.
Yeah, it does.
It was probably about 3 minutes, but I was just like...
Right, did you write? Just write it all down. I just write everything everyone's saying now.
This is one of the things, I know you're sort of having a bit of a joke, but really, I mean, this is one of the things that I talk to like leaders or people that want to learn facilitation, is you have to start getting comfortable with silence. You have to. You have to ask a question and then zip it, and then just wait for someone to speak. Because someone will eventually. And it feels like longer to you as a facilitator than the people, because they could just be thinking about the question that you asked them. They could be kind of churning over and sort of getting their answer ready. But for you, you're just like crickets, or, you know. But
you have to say £50 for the first one to speak.
Yeah.
But it's also creating that atmosphere, like you were talking about peer, I can't remember what you called it.
Peer coaching.
Peer coaching, where people aren't afraid, like you ask a question, and I think sometimes people are just too afraid that they're going to say the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Sound stupid. Yeah. And so no one speaks.
Yeah.
And you know, if you can
fear of sounding stupid.
something, that's like, but I don't know how you engender that feeling of, it doesn't matter what you say. We don't care if you say something stupid. Some things are stupid, but just say it anyway.
There's a great exercise. I can't remember the person that developed it, and I will see if I can find the name, but it's the worst possible idea. So you could ask a question, you say, right, okay, just to start off with, I just want the worst possible ideas. And that kind of frees up.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, that frees up.
That is a good idea.
You probably give me the best ones too.
Yeah, so there's lots of little kind of creativity techniques that you can use to encourage people to speak up. And also, you know, what you mentioned, people are scared of sort of looking stupid. There's also something there which is cultural, right? That it doesn't feel safe to make a mistake. There's a concept, Amy Edmondson is one of the leading experts on this concept called psychological safety, which is, you know, when a team feels that they can make mistakes and take risks and be vulnerable in front of each other. And I think a lot of research, there's one particular research study that was done by Google Aristotle, that showed that the highest performing teams have a high level of psychological safety. So it's not, you know, where those people, the technical skills of those people, where they went to, you know, where they studied or where they worked before. The presence of psychological safety was one of the biggest factors that team was more high performing. And it makes sense, right? Because
it makes sense.
If you've got psychological safety, if people speak up and can say stupid
well, they're
things
not afraid. And if you're afraid, you're frozen. I mean, the moment you get, the moment you get fear, it's sad because you're not actually even part of anything, because you can't contribute, because you just can't even think.
Absolutely.
You're just like, I can't think of any other way to put it, is it? Yeah. I mean, and I've had moments in my life when, you know, I have got frozen with fear about a situation, and one particularly where Jan, because I was in front of all these big brands and these big lawyers, and he put me in this situation where, like, I don't know, I was way out my depth, and you know, and actually he took me outside after a day or something. He's like, "You're not saying anything. What the fuck?" And I was just like, and he's like, "Screw these big brands. You know, they don't know what they're talking about, Andy. They haven't got a clue. They don't know anything more than you. And just come back." But actually, I don't know if he gave me safety, but I guess he gave me the safety as a client to say, I don't care. And look, I was blinded by brands. You could be blinded by your boss.
Right.
You know, you're just
or
in front of
your colleagues.
Or your colleagues, or your competitor, or your supplier, or I mean, I don't know.
And this is the kind of stuff that makes a difference to how people feel at work. imagine going to work and feeling scared, or going to work and feeling that you can say what's on your mind.
You can fart and get through it. You won't have to leave the office. I wonder if anyone's ever resigned over a fart out of sheer embarrassment. In their first
I think that's
week,
another level, isn't it?
Sorry.
Anyway, so, but you don't kind of grow up going, I want to be a workshop facilitator.
No, you don't.
So how did you end up doing this?
Kind of by accident. I fell into it. So I could go way, way, way back, but I did an MA, Enterprise and Management for the Creative Arts. And the reason I did the MA was because I, at the time, was working in organisations that supported creative businesses and creative practitioners. And I wanted to do my MA to find ways to understand them more, understand some of the challenges that creative businesses faced, and also see what kind of support structures could help them grow in their businesses. And just through the reading on the MA, and sort of where I landed was this idea of collaboration, and how collaboration was a massive part of the creative industries, particularly in the UK. And yeah, how it kind of fueled everything. And I just got very, very curious about it. At the time, I think, when was my MA? I think I started it in 2005.
Okay.
So things like online collaboration tools were just
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Online collaboration tools were just starting to emerge. And I was like, this is amazing. We can have creative businesses come together on this platform, work together on projects. And they don't need to be in the same space. This is kind of like, this is potentially global. So yeah, I just got very, very interested in collaboration. Anyway, cut a long story short, developed a business idea on my MA, which was about bringing creative businesses together to collaborate in projects, to develop their businesses. And when I finally left my job to set up Bracket, that's what it was. It was more like a virtual agency. And actually, Uri Clark were one of my first clients in that virtual agency, and very pleased to know that you're still working with.
You were very influential in making us do some funky stuff, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And there's still the videos we did. It's
Absolutely.
still on our website. Our Uri Clark, if you do the About Us video.
Yeah.
That was the birthday. That was some good work.
Yeah, yeah. So what would happen was I'd, get a client like Uri Clark, you'd have a need for a creative project. I'd pull together creative freelancers. Put a team together. Herd the cats. And I would basically sort of create a sort of a mini business out of them, help get them together, run a brainstorm to figure out how we're going to support the client, and then manage that project.
Yeah, wow, you did. Is that what you did? Yeah,
that's what I did.
But one of the things that you did is you knew very cool people. You knew very talented people.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's a lot. I mean, finding those people and then getting them to work together. I mean, what you did was brilliant. Actually, it's just hard to get paid for.
So that's the thing. So I really struggled with. I wasn't from a kind of agency background, so I really struggled with the how do you get clients bit. But what happened was when people observed me running those workshops, they said to me, you're really good at that thing that you're doing when you're running. And I didn't even know I was running a workshop at the time. It just made sense to kind of bring people together. Let's do a brainstorm because we need to get ideas for this client. People were like, you're good at that. You can go and do that for this team, and you can come and do that for my team, and we'll pay you for it. Yeah, and of course, as I'm developing a business, and I'm going where people, where there's a need and where people are going to pay me. And that's how I discovered kind of that facilitation was a thing that you could do as a business. I really didn't know. Yeah.
Is there a workshop conference yet? Is there like a professional group of workshoppers?
This is all because yesterday he got absolutely hysterical by the idea of a speakers conference where all
they
the
were a
speakers
professional
go.
speaker.
There are things like that, though, aren't there?
And so there's a speaker come with professionals.
He just finds it really amusing.
Because everybody there's good at talking and everyone wants to talk to each other. Yeah. Hey, well, have I talked to you yet?
There are kind of conferences, events that bring facilitators together, and you kind of think, how do you facilitate?
Facilitation is that the art? That's the art.
How do you facilitate?
It's very meta. Facilitating facilitators.
Very meta. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. You know what? It's thinking back to that first project. Probably what the other way your business could have done. You were being nice and facilitating and putting all those people together in this sort of lovely way. Really, you should have set up a company and basically employed them to deal give the business. But it's nice the way you ended up. Yeah, very interesting.
And I think, where Bracket is now is, it's not just workshop facilitation. And I think that's the discovery of the workshop culture, right? Is that, it's great to facilitate workshops and they're very, very useful. They're amazing away days, offsites, retreats, all of those kinds of things. It's really important to bring people together. And the world is changing and we need that more frequently. We don't need it. Things are too complex, things are moving too fast to just save our team building for one day a year.
No one talks about your stuff enough, not just your stuff personally, this sort of facilitation. It sounds to the Brits, it sounds a bit naff and American. I think there's a bit of us that's a bit like, and getting in internal consultants to tell you how to run meetings. But my God, there is a meeting crisis going on. And this country needs to get efficient, The Americans love this stuff. They're wonderful at it. They're bonkers about it. They love to go around in circles and, have all this bollocks and they'll clap and cheer.
Well, this is the problem.
You seem to be saying that her job is bollocks.
Yeah. No, we lack this sort of enthusiasm.
Andy,
I have a point.
This is the misconception about facilitation, because facilitation is not about like happy, clappy, kumbaya.
No, but they'll be banging. It's the whole culture that here we're a bit like, just get on with your job, blah, blah, make me a cup of tea. No, as in it's very, don't you feel a bit someone...
They want to know how
people are feeling? If I went upstairs and I said, right, someone's coming around tomorrow and they're going to do like workshop facilitation, Pippa Stern, what the fuck is that bollocks? So I've got a job to do, I've got work to do here.
Yeah, but you don't say someone's going to come in and facilitate a workshop. You talk about the reason why you're bringing in a workshop facilitator, which is we need to get together and talk about the fact that we're growing as a business.
What I was trying to say, and it's gone rather wrong, okay?
I would actually think, lovely, a day where I don't have to do anything.
This stuff sounds like it's really important, and it sounds like it's crazy that we haven't, hung out a bit and just got a bit more of, because you're great insight and intelligence, but the whole principle of the sort of facilitation, you don't hear about it, do you? Do you hear about it? Do you know
hear about it a lot.
I did, because at my last job, I had to find facilitators for our away day every year.
Right.
Oh, right. Everyone has an away day.
But how you find,
You never really do it.
How you find, we used to have a strategy day, like for the partners.
Yeah.
But how you find somebody is very hit and miss. It's kind
absolutely.
of like, I met that person at a thing like a couple of weeks ago, and they may know somebody else.
It's very privileged too. We do strategy. I managed to do it once every 6 months if we're lucky. It's very like we're a little family, you know what I mean? So it's sort of very privileged, the information. I mean, I'm not saying I don't trust you, but I know you. Do you know what I mean? If it was a third party and I'm saying, some bloke called Bob's turning up, and we'd all be like,
no, but that's the professionalism of it, though. Facilitators will be, bound by confidentiality. It's the same as coaching. When you coach a client, you do not disclose anything that you've spoken about in that session outside. And the facilitation sector is growing massively, actually. There's a lot of people out there that either are facilitating as a business or want to, you mentioned to me, I didn't grow up wanting to be a facilitator. There are people now that are saying, I want to do facilitation as a career.
Is it similar to mediation? Have you ever been involved in mediation?
I mean, mediation is a specific skill, isn't it, for specific situations? So no, I've not ever done mediation.
I mean, the thing about facilitation as well on like strategy days and things, you say we're a little family, but the great thing about there is something great about bringing somebody in from outside, because
that's so true.
people are a little bit on their best behaviour in front of somebody external,
and people work harder and
they kind of make an effort in a way that they wouldn't if it was just the family.
Weirdly, we prefer to do what a stranger tells us, which makes no sense. If your friend said to you, you need to do X, you need to, let's say 1,000 times, they could shout at you. One stranger tells you in some session, you need to do X, you're like, I can't go back next time and not do X.
Well, the thing is with a facilitator is that they can also see things that you can't. They're not in the weeds like you are. So we are able to take a step back and see, we can see patterns, we can see conflicts, we can see when two people are arguing and they're saying the same thing, but they can't see it because they're too close to it. So that's really the value of bringing in an outside. They're not content experts. They're not there to tell you how to do your job. I mean, I don't know anything about...
or what to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I couldn't tell you anything to do with accountancy or law. That's not my job.
I mean, it's good to point out, but
my job is to structure the conversation so you get the things done that you do.
Yeah,
and if you're going
have the conversation,
if you're going down rabbit holes, I pull you out. You know, if you're kind of talking about something that is too detailed and needs to be spoken about at another time, I'll point that out. I'll point out some of the things that I can, facilitators are very good at reading the room, and we pick up on like little micro expressions. So if someone says something and you see someone kind of, side eye, then you can bring that out and have a conversation around it.
Let's discuss. Why did you raise your eyebrows when that person said that?
Exactly. Yeah, or in a more subtle way, maybe.
Yeah. I guess you don't have to be thinking about what to say next. You're observing a conversation, and then you can observe their faces. When you're in the heat of the moment, thinking about something and talking, it's amazing how little you can then process of what's going on in the room. There could be a gorilla next to you, or someone rolling their head. That's very interesting.
What's your plan long term? Where do you want to take Bracket?
Well,
I like the name, by the way.
Thank you. So, I mean, always with a business owner, you want sustainability and you want growth. I think for me, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's how do I get to more people? Because I really do believe that this is something that is valuable to a lot of teams, a lot of companies, and at the moment it's mainly me. So it's like, how do I get more reach to make more impact? I think I've started, working with associates, so to enable us to have that reach. But yeah, that's the kind of next stage, really.
Is that surely you just need to teach more people how to do it?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean people can facilitate. There's lots of facilitators out there. I think it's the framework and Bracket's IP and how to.
It sounds like though the best thing is just to do it, because it sounds like a great job. I mean, it requires a lot of emotional intelligence. We meet all these people. You got this. It's really fascinatingly engaging
I'd love
work.
to go
if you've
in
got the skill to do it.
and be in,
You just be
like strategy days of loads of different companies where you've actually got no skin in the game. To an extent, it doesn't really matter, and you can listen to all these, observe all the kind of undercurrents of relationships between people.
It's a great job, isn't it? Yeah. So just doing it is enough. When you say, you want to get it on.
Facilitation is something that I love doing, but it's based on me.
Yeah,
and if you want to,
that's limiting. It's
limiting, right? So it's like, how do you balance the growth of the business with doing the thing that you love? You don't go into it in a sense of, you're going to grow this massive company, because that's what takes you away from the work that you love. So there's always this kind of balance between kind of being in the work and still delivering and doing the thing that you love, with also trying to make sure that you have that reach and that impact.
Final question on this subject, and then we're going to move on. What's bullshit about this subject? What's bullshit about facilitation?
What's bullshit about facilitation? I mean, I think all the things that you kind of parodied around facilitation is meanly,
very meanly, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fair, because I think, sometimes it is that. But when, that for me, I mean, I'm also a bit of an introvert, so I kind of.
You are an introvert. Yeah, it's interesting, because it's actually one of the most, you have to be incredibly strong to do it.
No, look, I think that's also a misconception about facilitation, in that you have to be like quite gregarious and it's all about you and your character. Actually, facilitation can be very, very quiet, because it's not about you. It's not about you as a facilitator. It's about what you do. You helping the people in the room have a conversation. I actually wrote a post on LinkedIn yesterday where I said some of my best sessions have been where the people in the workshop have almost forgotten I'm there, because they're so engaged in the conversation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you have authority. You have to have some sort of authority. Like, you have a very quiet authority. You're very nice when you come in the room and you meet them. You're charming. Everyone's like, oh, what a lovely lady. But then, like, I don't know. You don't. She has an energy.
Underneath.
She has a steel. Like, when she says something at the table, I mean, we'd all shut up. Even me or my dad or whatever. We'd all be like, sorry.
But also, you're not having to like if you are an introvert, you know, you're not having to tell people about what you think about things or give away any of your own emotions. You're just like observing.
But don't get me wrong, it's still exhausting, even though you're not.
Well, you're 100% listening, aren't you?
All the time. Yeah.
That's full on. And processing and thinking like, no, what do I do with this?
Yeah,
file away. And you can't really scribble and make notes. Am I keeping to
time?
Do you scribble and make notes?
I do. I mean, I always have my workshop outline and, you know, timings change and exercises change and...
No, it's more like if I was really listening to someone's conversation, if I really need to listen, weirdly, I have to just listen. Like, you focus. But I mean, because the moment I start writing, I'm like, oh.
It's like podcasts. Like, you have to concentrate for 2 hours and they're quite knackering.
Yeah.
Bizarrely knackering.
Lovely jubbly. So we're going to ask you quick questions, get to know you a little better. You should know the answers, hopefully, so don't be stressed. Cue the music.
What was your first job?
I worked at a fashion designer. For my work experience when I was at school. So it's Quickfire, isn't it?
It's fine. It's never really.
Whatever.
Okay, so with my work experience at school, this is actually one of our other questions. I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I sought out a work experience opportunity that was at fashion designers, but they just kept me on reception the whole time.
Oh, no. So that might be the answer to the next question as well. Yeah.
What was your worst job?
Actually, my worst job was when I was trying to do part-time work and I was stuffing envelopes. And everyone was really terrified of the boss and he shouted at me and I cried.
What age were you?
I was probably about 18.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound a bit whack.
Favourite subject at school?
Art.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved art.
Any style of art? Painting or?
No, I just loved it all. I mean, I did an art A-level as well. Just loved art. Loved being creative.
What's your special skill?
Facilitation.
That was a no-brainer.
Yeah. You got to be a facilitator. Anyway.
And I think we've answered this one, but what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Yeah.
I wanted to work in fashion.
It's like, and what did your parents want you to be?
I don't think they wanted me to be what I wanted to be. I think I remember having one conversation once with my dad when I decided to do fashion promotion at marketing at uni. He said, why don't you do something like maths? And then it was like, because I want to do fashion promotion and marketing, and that was the end of it.
Two very, very diverse things.
That's such a dad chat, that is. What about maths? No. It's like, and then staring at his daughter going, I never argue with my daughter. I have learned she wins. You know.
Bless him.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, do you want me to sing it?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, if you want to.
Luther Vandross, Never Too Much. Can't help myself, don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list 'cause I'm always thinking of you.
Hey.
That was superb.
That's the best.
That is
the
only
answer.
person that has ever done that. And that was superb.
Yeah, and you did it beautifully. It's a great song too. I need it.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my
what song is that? What's it called?
A million days in your arms is never too much.
What's it called?
So you've got me going now.
What's it called?
You're so good.
We're going to do some karaoke.
Do you know what it is?
I didn't know you were a karaoke fan.
Well, I don't go often, but I actually went last year for my with my family for my birthday, and that song got everyone up. We were all singing, and I just think, it's
what's it called again? I can't remember.
Never too much.
Never too much.
Because the end of the chorus is kind of just never too much.
Never too much. Never too much.
Office dogs, business or bullshit?
Business.
Okay.
I can't really say anything else.
I mean, it could have covered Romeo's ears if necessary.
Bless him.
Have you ever been fired?
I've never been fired, but I've been made redundant from jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
talk about
yeah, I mean, there were
really depressing stories.
I think there was one when I had a Saturday job in a shoe shop, and the shoe shop closed down, and
that's a bit of a end of the road.
And what's your vice? What is your vice these days?
Pressing snooze too often.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. I actually set my alarm earlier so that I can press snooze.
Oh, you enjoy
times.
snoozing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you go like back into the world.
Yeah.
Back into the world. That's very cat-like.
You came up with another one yesterday, and I can't remember what it was, and it was a really good one.
Oh,
I can't remember what it was.
I decided that it was quite like the other one. What's your party trick?
Oh yes, that was it.
But
I haven't been to a party in ages. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if special skills better.
I used to be able to balance a pint on a pot of my anatomy. Can't do it anymore.
It's the way you looked there. You said about
Yeah, it wouldn't work anymore.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. That's I'm not sure you're supposed to admit those things.
I know, that's the cold open. Deep needed a cold open.
Yeah, that's funny. Any tips for founders and entrepreneurs? Get some workshop culture into your life.
I think I wouldn't give advice to other entrepreneurs, but I'd like to give advice to myself 15 years ago before I started this business.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is learn to sell, definitely. I mean, I think I started my business without any kind of awareness that selling was a thing that I needed to do.
Dirty word in English.
Or a thing that you needed to learn, I suppose.
A thing that I needed to learn. I thought the business was just, I never worked in those kind of jobs. I thought, you know, I had the idea, I thought the clients would come in. So I think there's that. I think the other thing is around, you know, listening to advice with caution, because everything's got context. So it's so easy for someone to say, you need to do this, 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 and this as a step by step, but they don't know your business, right?
Yeah, and they're just looking very helicopter.
They're looking very helicopter. So you really, any advice that you get, you really have to kind of, you know, take it in and apply it to your context. I think the other thing as well, and I guess this could be slightly, I don't know what the words, I'm losing my words at the moment, but maybe this is a little bit negative, but be aware of people that are placing their short-term income over your long-term business sustainability. So there's loads of people out there that will say, oh, you know, I can help you get, you know, this number of clients, da, 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 da. But they're not really thinking whether the practice is going to, you know, you might get the clients now, but maybe the practice is going to harm your business in the long term, or you're not building up the systems to really, you know, build foundations for you. Does that make sense?
And they're actually thinking about their own interests, not yours.
Yeah. And I mean,
you know,
that's like, when you're in business, there is an element of that, right? But just be aware of like whether what someone has to offer is right for you. Yeah.
I mean, it's just similar.
Would have you 15 years ago taken this advice?
Oh gosh, yeah. No, I think I was very sure.
You might have.
I don't know.
Sorry, Pippa.
I was just going to say, it's just, you know, I often say to potential clients, you don't need a lawyer.
Right.
Because they don't right then.
Yeah.
And if you actually tell them when they don't, instead of trying to make money off them when they don't need it, they'll come back to you when they do.
Yeah.
I like that rule. You can't really sue someone for less than £500,000. Yeah. Any contract that's worth less than that, it's not going to court.
Yeah.
So therefore, well, you know, what matters?
Yeah,
you know,
you can whack in a stack demand. Go for
that. You've got some weapons, but I mean, the realistic, if someone breaks the contract, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So it's kind of decisions like that. Like, is this, you know, this person might have something great to offer me now, but is it right for me? And where does my business want it? Like, unless that person has absolutely built the business that you want to build, then you can't say that the steps that they are telling you to take are going to be exactly right for you. Yeah. So I think that's one thing. I think the other one is take time to think big. So all the stuff that I've been saying to you, you know, take time out of your business. It does get really busy. I try and do it regularly, but at least, you know, every few months, just a strategy day for myself.
In Barbados.
Ideally. And then I think also the other thing that I guess I'm learning now is, I love this phrase. Someone said this to me, different levels, different devils, which is, you know, there's always going to be challenges, and business is not like that. It's like that. And if you you zoom in and you'll see the kind of ups and downs, but if you zoom out, you want to see that upward trend. Exactly. But in the sort of micro moments, even in a day, you can be up and down. And I think you think that that's going to end, but it never does.
That was great.
That was great. That was excellent.
I wonder what your 15 years ago
book.
self would have said.
Don't tell it. Cut that bit and then do it as a book.
No, I don't feel qualified to give.
Is it hard to write a book?
Yes and yes.
I hear it's really difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you've got an idea, then the ideas can flow. But I think the most challenging thing is when you're writing a book as a business owner and trying to find the time to write amongst all the other things that you need to do. I think that's the most difficult thing. I mean, I had this idea in 2017. It's 2023 before I published it and actually had the time to properly write it. And then there was a confidence thing as well. So
So
Business or
it's
bullshit.
business or bullshit time. Get your paddle.
Okay.
Do you
Dee's
want to do
handling you a
this brings
professionally
us to our
made
favourite
paddle.
part of the
Looking
show?
forward to
These
this.
paddles are available online for £50. We really need to sell paddles, man. Yeah, I hope you know how to play this game. We're going to name something. You have to say if it's business or bullshit. You've got to put your paddle up. You've got
Am I
to
allowed
say it
to
nice
give
and clearly.
context, or do I
Yes.
just?
Oh, we
Okay.
want
So you can
context.
absolutely unpack.
We want to argue too.
Interesting.
Dee's going to cue some music and we're off.
Conservative government.
Oh. Definitely bullshit.
I don't
Do you
think
want
I'm
to
even
challenge her on that? You're
Really?
the only one that can. And
Oh,
no way
that's
I
so
am.
unfair. What is it? I can't even read it. Charities.
Well, they're business, aren't they? But it's difficult for them to be business. So I mean, they're not bullshit, but
Well,
I
some
don't think
people
they're-
actually think, charities bullshit.
No, I definitely don't think they're bullshit.
I think
but I
they're,
think it's
they're a
hard for them
minority.
It's difficult. I mean, I go to a women in business networking group, and we always have a charity as one of the kind of sectors that are represented. And it's always hard
Yeah.
because it's not really business. They're just looking for
Yeah.
donations, right?
There's
It's a difficult
there's a
one.
lot of inefficiency, but there we go.
Digital nomads.
Oh, business.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Why have you not gone nomadic?
I've got 2 cats.
Oh, yeah,
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 I can't
yeah.
take them with me.
Yeah.
I'd love to. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you not take cats places? Have you seen this new dog airline that just launched?
No.
You're so making this up.
I'm not. It's a dog-only airline. It's you can fly from London to New York with your dog on a private jet. How much do you think a ticket for you and your dog? They let you hang out. They've got treats. They
How
have, like,
much for a
things-
ticket for me and my dog?
Like, yeah, me and Romeo are going
Is
to
it a
fly.
return flight to New York?
Well, one flight's one way, London to New York, on a Learjet. or whatever.
£1,500.
Oh no, it's $8,000.
Wow.
Well, it's a private jet. You
Oh, you didn't say it was a private jet.
Yeah,
I
you go to
thought-
Biggins
I was
Hill.
thinking-
That's the airline. It's a private jet that's launched, and you can
Wow.
fly around with your pets.
But surely when you get to New York, you're still going to have
is it
to
my
put your
go?
pet in quarantine.
no,
Sorry,
I
I'm just
don't
now
think
on
that's
this.
entirely true all the time. I think America to the UK, you might be all right. It's a place like Australia that do that. Anyway.
Anyway,
Oh no, I know. You have to turn it into anyway, client lunches. Business.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's nothing like
Yeah.
a good lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because-
I remembered you have to turn it into an anxiety pet. I just met a guy who done it.
oh, I see, like a support
like, yeah,
animal.
support- emotional support.
If they're a
Emotional
support
support
animal,
animal.
you can just travel with them.
Okay.
But I mean, the downside of client lunches potentially is they take you away from actually doing your job because you're schmoozing.
And they enable you to do your job because they support business generation as well. So
I think I might be starting a phase though of just eating lunch in the office more with clients, just hanging out, you know.
Oh, that's a bit boring.
It is boring, but
M&S sandwiches in the corner.
Oh, I know, but I've just got. That's what I'm today. I know.
So
I
you weren't-
used to
I'm
go to this
betting they were
Italian-
Pret
Look,
rather
I'm
than
very known
M&S.
for taking everyone to nice lunch, you know. So I'm bang up for a nice lunch. But anyway, I'm boring myself. What are we doing?
Thought leadership.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
So it should be business, but it can very easily descend into bullshit.
I so agree with you. I can't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I can't.
when was the last time we went to?
Oh,
some
hold up the paddle, DC.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
sorry.
were. Well, she's not clear. Which side are you going?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a flashing paddle.
When was the last bit of good thought leadership any of us saw? You know, what
There's not- I mean, the thing
you
is
go to a
there's
conference and see someone talk. That's thought
I think
leadership.
you'll find the article I published last week in.
I think there's a lot of I think the thing is there's a lot of good thought leadership out there, but there's also really bad stuff
Yeah.
out there, and that's what we now need to kind of
I
cut
think
through
there's
the
a
noise.
bit of only thought lead if you actually have something to say.
Yeah.
I think the problem is people feel like they have to continually contribute to
There's
this
a lot
kind
of
thought leadership stuff.
Bullshit.
there's a lot of bullshit and kind of trite phrases on LinkedIn at the moment.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so easy to fall into cliches, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and we've could be committing cliches in the last hour and a half. You know, it's hard to say
I
things
speak
without.
in cliches. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're cliches for a reason, right? Because
Yeah,
they were true at one
exactly.
point.
Well,
And they work well.
They're
That's the cliche.
helpful. Is it my go or your go?
It's your go.
Incubators.
Oh, business.
Yeah, business.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not died out a little bit, full of bullshit.
I mean, I'm not really in that world, to be honest, but I can imagine that they're useful for, you know, if you've never been in the startup world before and you need that kind of guidance and that support.
I think they can be really good. I think quite a lot of them are a bit bullshitty.
Okay.
Because like quite a lot of them, you read what they're actually offering and what they're actually offering is a desk.
Yeah,
but
right.
you're going to have to pay in with a share of your company or something for it.
Right.
And the actual kind of mentorship and training doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are really great.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably business and bullshit. Oligopoly.
What is that? I don't know what it means.
Can't remember what it is.
So oligos is the Greek for a few. So it's a few companies controlling any sort of market.
Oh. Well, we don't really want that, do we? I mean,
I reckon we don't want that.
No. Yeah.
Competition's good. Growth hackers.
The fuck are growth hackers?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
what is a growth hacker?
So growth hackers as a term is like, you know, you want to get from 1 to 10,000 followers in 2 days.
Yeah, it feels like a quick, trying to do an end run round what you actually have to do.
Exactly. And this, I mean, though, if you do get those 10,000 followers, they're not going to be of substance, right? So growth hacking, no, but growth marketing, growth strategy, yeah.
Business plans.
Oh, I would say probably bullshit.
Controversial.
So I think
let's have it.
Yeah, so I mean the thing is that the minute they're useful for getting your thoughts out and organising your thoughts, but the minute you put anything into the real world, your business plan is out of date. I think there's better ways of creating a strategy or a plan for your business without having to write
back to workshops.
Possibly, yeah. The person that wrote my forward, Alex Osterwalder, he has a business model canvas, the framework business model canvas, and the whole point is that you kind of it's a very visual tool where you map out different elements of your business model when you kind of prototype your business model, when you test it, find ways to test it in the real world, and then once you learn from those tests, you iterate on it. A business plan doesn't really allow you to do that because it's like saying what's written in here is what's going to happen, and that doesn't happen. So I think that the idea of a business plan being the thing that you use to guide your business is bullshit. The concept of it, getting your thoughts out, great, but business plans are fiction. And I think that's what Alex Osterwalder says as well. They're kind of...
Very good.
That was good.
That was good.
Really good.
Score time. So I am thinking we get these scores back in order. And anyone who's got a score with more than 3 digits, we're chopping off.
You chop a digit off the end.
Just chopping them all off.
That sounds painful.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it just? Because these scores have got out of hand.
Sorry,
your score is...
Wait, say this again. How do you score me?
Wow.
Well, it's very complicated.
It's a very complicated
it would take another show to explain it.
Yeah,
so you're going to score 866.
Oh, out of
1,000.
Oh,
I think we get.
It's not an out of anything. It can't be out of anything.
Yeah, because I'm asking where's the rest of it gone? Where's that like?
All right. 18,666. No, that's the number. That's the devil. 18,555. There we go.
Okay.
No, I like the no system. I really love the no system.
Our system, you know, that's an A. That's an A++.
Have you ever listened to I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue on Radio 4?
Yeah,
because they have a game called Mornington Crescent.
Mornington Crescent, yeah.
Where there are no rules, but nobody says there are no rules.
Oh, okay.
It's the same kind of thing.
I'm actually sticking it from, whose line is it anyway? He would always score randomly. So great, that was 5,612 points next there, you know. That's it. That's the end of the show. So,
would you like 30 seconds to pitch the book?
I think I've done quite a lot of that, haven't I? Yeah. But
where can people find you?
People can find me. My company's called Bracket. My website is bracketcreative.co.uk. Bracket is 1T. Bracketcreative.co.uk. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well. I hang out quite a lot on there. To my detriment.
It's been an absolute delight, Alison. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming to do it.
So there you have it. That was this week's episode of Business Without Bullshit, and we'll be back with our quiz, Business or Bullshit, on Thursday. Until then,
it's ciao.